on WSYC 88.7 FM here from Shippensburg University's campus in Shippensburg, Pennsylvania on this Friday, March 28th. Hi everyone, I'm Luke Rainey. As always, welcome to Greek Speak, hosted by myself, Andrew Mercier, and Luke Hillegass. And we have a special guest this week, one of our very own brothers from Kappa Sigma. It is Tijs Black. Tijs, welcome to the show.
Yeah, what's up, Luke? Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, yeah, we're a pleasure to have you. We were really looking forward to this. We were trying to set it up last semester, and I think we had some class conflicts or so going on, too. So finally got to make this happen with you. But tell us about yourself. Tell us about why you pursued Greek life and ultimately why you pursued Kappa Sigma.
All right, so yeah, my name's Tijs Black. I'm a mechanical engineering student here at SHIP. I'm a sophomore. And yeah, so I'm in the Kappa Sig fraternity. I rushed a year ago. A bunch of my buddies were rushing. As I can explain later, I was probably the last person that was going to rush fraternity coming into college. I pretty much was just sticking to using college as a tool to just further my education and specifically just that. But just hanging around all the guys, coming out with my friends, I just kind of like fell into the family and it kind of just took off from there.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned that, like you think you're the last person. I mean, you kind of strike me as always that first person who'd want to do it.
Yeah, I kind of get the stereotype that I kind of look like the typical frat guy, but I think behind all the looks, I'm kind of just a very quiet and to the point guy. But yeah, once I got in, I kind of just felt at home, so we went from there. Yeah.
Oh, you made yourself at home too within the fraternity, because Luke's going to talk a lot about this in depth, I think, as the show goes on. But just give us an idea of like what some of your chair positions are in Kappa Sigma.
So yeah, the one that I like the most, I'm kind of the head of the house improvements chair. So what I do with that is I pretty much just get input from anyone at the house that needs to fix anything. So one, I'm kind of like the handyman at the house. If anything needs fixing, I'm there to help with that. Also, I'm house improvements, so anything that wants to be added to make it look cooler. A couple recent projects was we renovated a bunch of the lights in the basement, the stage, made the Kappa Sig letters outside the house glow. That was pretty cool. I'm also the intramurals chair, which means I create all the intramural teams, check if anyone on the frat wants to be in the teams, and then just kind of organize everything, post times, dates, and when we're going to be playing.
Where'd you get the idea to put the lights around the letters? Because that was, in my opinion, one of the most creative things I've seen. It really makes us stand out.
So I actually saw, I think Drew sent me a picture. The house used to have letters on the house, but I didn't really like the look of it because they used the standard like TikTok lights around the letters. But I've had like experience with like underglow and like lighting. But I used those strip lights and it kind of went around and I kind of just thought it would look cool and it ended up actually looking very good. So.
Well, it's always Drew and his ideas, I'll tell you that, because that's kind of a good segue into what I want to talk about next, and that's a big part of what you've been able to do as well is you have a lot of good video editing skills, and also you're good behind the camera. So we've done some Rush Week promotional videos, as you obviously, as everyone at this point would know, in the fall and the spring. Last fall was the first time we'd done it, obviously kind of built it from the ground up, but this spring we really went all out in the resources, and a lot of that was because of you. So I was kind of tell you a story about what ended up happening whenever we had production night in the spring. I wasn't able to go, so I kind of told you, like, all right, like, you can kind of manage this as you see fit. Mm-hmm. So I get there about an hour or two late, and I see there's about 20 people in the basement. Like, everybody's, like, doing their parts and, like, waiting patiently. Like, everybody seemed to be having a good time. And then next thing you know, I see you're taking a broomstick and you're taping your phone to it and you're running around the basement trying to film shots off the broomstick.
Oh, yeah.
Just your creative intellect is second to none, in my opinion. So talk about where your interest in video came from and like how you've developed that craft for good videography.
Yeah, so, well, coming off that, the broomstick, we had to get creative. We didn't have a tripod, so we just whipped out the duct tape and made a little thingamajig with that. But yeah, I was going back in time. I had a YouTube channel with a bunch of buddies in high school, and we kind of toyed around with the idea. But I was always the lead editor. We would meet every day after school. We would ride our bikes back to the guy's house, and we would edit videos. and just it was kind of humorous videos. So the actual editing was the more important part because the video content itself was kind of a joke. But yeah, I kind of toyed around with that. Started on iMovie, which is kind of like the starter for everyone.
Yeah.
And then kind of progressed to Adobe because our school had access to that. So that was very good to help with that. It is very complex for anyone that doesn't know Adobe.
Yes.
And then with the uprise of TikTok, CapCut kind of got thrown into there. CapCut Pro is what we've been using to edit the Rush videos and stuff for the fraternity. And I really like CapCut Pro because it's kind of a mix of iMovie and Adobe, and it kind of mashes together and gives you kind of like a user-friendly but also a very pro and like aesthetic vibe to it to kind of make it easier for you.
You want to know what I used whenever I first started editing videos? Windows Movie Maker.
Oh my gosh.
Back at 7th or 8th grade, I had my own YouTube channel back then. I ended up with like 450 subscribers before I kind of shut it down, just because like the content was great. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed doing it. Just wasn't relevant anymore, so I just kind of privatized the channel. But yeah, that was what I used to edit because I didn't want to spend a dime on anything, so I just figured, it's the first free software I could have on a computer. Simple, easy to use, and that's how I got my passion for it. But yeah, like you said, the technology, the more you do it, the more professional you want to get at and the better you want to get. So something like Adobe, I mean, that's a monster software.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my
There's
goodness.
in and outs that you don't even know until you're on it for 3 years, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that button was
You
there.
looked at me, I remember saying, like, we got to edit the spring video, like, we got to do it on Adobe. You looked at me like I had a third arm coming out of my chest.
Yeah.
I mean, you were, not impressed by that suggestion, but CapCut obviously did wonders for us. But I think, like, one of the things is, like, people don't realize what goes into a video is actually planning out all different shots, because we had, a minute and a half of production. Yeah. So, like, we had multiple days of filming. So, one of those days, you were in the video, and, we talked about this, like, this idea where, because one of our closest brothers, Connor Beck, he has this red truck. And it's like an iconic symbol of, this is a vintage Kappa Sigma man right here. Someone who has a red, is it a square body, isn't it? Yeah. It's a vintage red truck. So, the suggestion that I had, for you, was what if we were to do a backflip? Like, have you do a backflip, which is something you've been able to do. It's something that you're skilled at. Have you do a backflip on the truck bed?
So pretty much Luke was trying to make me break my leg. Is what he's trying to say.
Basically. But I want to do it a step further as well. And this got shot down. I was upset by this, but I was gonna have you do it while the truck was moving.
Yeah.
Get that sort of motion action shot in there, and it was gonna be the greatest thing. However, reason and good senses came to the light, and we just decided we'll park the truck in the yard, make sure we don't tear up the yard, which kept the yard clean. You do the backflip off of it, and it turned out pretty good. But it's things like that, though. I mean, those are some of my favorite memories, honestly, like working with you on these projects. Because, like, you're also very, like, I don't think say constructive. I don't think that's the right word. You know what's good and you know what's bad.
Yeah.
Like, you have a really good sense of what is quality, what is not, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. And I think that's something that, again, you learn that over time.
Mm-hmm. It's all kind of experience. I feel like experience is kind of what trumps, I don't know, just what you learn out of a book. Like, anyone can tell you, I learned editing in class, but it's not until you actually do it over time and have experience with it is what brings that own style. Because anyone can just say something, but actually doing it is what creates your own editing style. And like you were saying, as much as I like being behind the camera, I also like being in front of the camera too. And yeah, doing that backflip and everything, as much as my knees weren't agreeing with it after that, I had a really good time doing that. And I think the shots came out very good to end off the video with a bang.
It's not just a shot that makes, like, that's all that happens. It's not only the shot that makes the cut, it's the shots where it's like, oh, this is weird in the background, or oh, this looked a little dumb, let's redo that. Because that was, I think, like, it took 3 attempts to get you on that one. I was feeling bad after a while. I was worried that, like, the knees were going to give out on the third one, but luckily it didn't happen. And at least you're able to land them, because, like, Theo Capamanis, whenever he does a front flip, it's always a mess. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. If he ever does that, maybe that's a lip sync idea for a couple weeks' time.
His tailbone doesn't agree with him after that. But
well, all of this to say, though, is, like, all these different things that you do. I mean, home improvements, I guess, is somewhat connected to it, but What's it got to do with your major? It's like, what are you studying here?
Yeah, so to be honest, I don't really think a lot of it does connect to my major in the sense of content, but in the sense of kind of like the work ethic and putting all of your effort into a specific subject, I think does connect to it. So like I said, I'm a mechanical engineering student. I've always been fascinated by just trying to solve a problem, and not only that, just trying to find a way to make something better and cooler than it is. And what I want to do after college, if I want to talk about that a little bit, is kind of take my insight into cars. I've always been fascinated in cars. I want to work for like Porsche or Volkswagen and try to come up with new ways to kind of create the more luxury side of cars, like new ways to invent heated seats or ambient lighting in cars. And yeah, like you were saying, all the stuff I do in college right now, even though it's not strictly honed in on engineering, it kind of is, because it's like
it's an innovative thing.
That innovative thinking and creative expression is all tied into how I'm going to partake in my future. So.
You know, it's so smart as well, because, again, like being able to apply those in different contexts, I think stands out to anybody. It stands out to employers for sure. Like, yeah, like video production on the surface has nothing to do with it, but also like you have to go through the problem-solving process. You have to go through trial and error to make sure everything's right for it. So it's a fantastic point, and like kind of reminds me of like, you know, think about, I don't know if you've ever taken intro to music, if you've ever had that class, but like one of the things like we learned this week was about the life of Mozart. So like Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, he died at 35, a real young guy, and he was kind of known for being this, I don't know what the right word is for it, but kind of a simpleton, I guess, like very immature fella, just impulsive, all over the place, scatterbrained, things like that, but he was extremely gifted at his craft. So like one of the scenes in this film from 1984 is he's basically dying, but he's still creating music. And he's got an assistant with him. He's got 100 papers of just like sheets and like music notes and things like that roaming around. He ain't even looking at the sheets. He's just going and he's creating the music just by using onomatopoeias. He's literally saying na 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 na, and that's they're writing down the notes of what, like, how he's explaining it. His brain's going so quickly he can't even get the words out in time, and he's yelling at his assistant. He's like, "You write faster, do this faster." It's just go spirit, and that's something that like I almost resonate with, because like a lot of things I do, like I think about it, I know what I want. It's my ability to articulate it that I can't do. You've always had that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what you want, but you know how to tell people what you want. And that's something that really stands out with me when it comes to like how you've conducted yourself down there in a fraternity. But kind of tying it back, I guess, into the social aspect for it, like how does your involvement with Kappa Sigma, like how does that help you make friends?
Yeah, so obviously, like I said before, I was the last person that wanted to join a fraternity, not for any reason, but obviously everyone knows the stereotypes that come with it. But being in a part of Kappa Sig, it's really opened up a huge communication side of it.
Yeah.
Like you said, you think I have a good way of explaining what I want and doing it, and kind of...
And you have to work with people in order to get what you want.
So I didn't have much of that at all. I was a very quiet person in high school, stuck to myself. Yeah, I had ways of showing the stuff I did through social media, because I didn't do it in person that much. But definitely being a part of Kappa Sigma, my communication skills have skyrocketed from there. Just being able to talk to new people, meet new people, the amount of connections that I've made is absurd. Looking back at the half a semester that I was at campus and not in a fraternity, I can't even imagine what the rest of my couple years would have been if I didn't. I probably would be nobody.
That's the same way I imagine. I mean, it changed my life like in many ways. Not only did it make me better socially speaking, but it also made me better as far as like applying skills, like that whole, you know, leading a PR committee and like creating the video, doing challenging projects. That matters. That stands out to people. We got a lot more to go on the show. We're going to bring Luke in next. Luke Hillegass, of course, our treasurer. Someone that, you know, perhaps we need to lobby to get some video cameras for, get some money for that within the chapter. But we'll be back in just a moment. Again, you're listening to Greek Speak with Luke Rainey, Andrew Mercier, and Luke Hillegass.
So we'll start this. going through, you said that you're the house improvements chair. If you want to talk a little bit about, I don't know, just ways that you have to talk to other brothers, or maybe some leadership required within the house improvement chair. I know that's not usually looked at as a leadership position, but certainly it's something that I think might require some sort of leadership to get to the way that you want to do it. Maybe whether that's convincing other brothers that what you want to do is the right way or whatever, but and certainly I've seen you have to lead projects within that chair. So if you want to talk a little bit about, I don't know, some struggles with that, or some ways that you kind of have to rally the troops, so to speak, to get it done a certain way.
Yeah, so coming into it, I was kind of scared because obviously I had no idea how it worked or how I was going to do it at all. Luckily, Mike Castle, he was the chair before me. He was able to kind of show me the ropes and teach me what I was going to need to do. And then with that, I kind of threw my own spin on it. So at first, I kind of didn't have any tools at the house. The house really doesn't have anything we need to kind of do stuff, so I took it upon myself. My dad's a contractor back home, so I brought a bunch of the tools up here, and using them, I was pretty much able to apply it to everyone at the house, talk to people if they need a problem. They can text me, DM me, whatever they need, and I can try to get it done in kind of a fashion that I can get it done that not only helps the house, but makes it look cooler and makes everyone at home when they come by.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just switch topics here, kind of staying on the same topic, but we had nominations this past weekend. You were nominated for some leadership positions. You declined.
Yeah.
And I know certainly that I have approached you about taking on more responsibility, because it's just something that we see in you as a potential leader. If you want to talk a little bit about why right now maybe just isn't the right time, and if you see yourself ever taking a leadership position within the fraternity.
Yeah, so like Luke said, we had nominations, and I declined all of the ones that I got. It's not because I don't want to do it, because trust me, I really want to be a leader. I've always seen myself as one. But as of now, like I told Luke, like I told Drew, even Hindi, the president, I'm one of those people that when I do something to the best of my ability, and if I see anything that's going to compromise it, I'm very, stuck on the future. So if I see something that's kind of going to jeopardize my ability to complete it, I won't do it. So like I was saying, my junior year is going to be very time-consuming. It's going to be very engaging, and I don't think it's the best idea for me to be on an executive or an EC position when I am trying to combat school. And just putting myself in that position, I don't think it's the best idea. But like I said, senior year, I'm trying to make my load a lot lesser and more manageable, because if I can do that, I'm definitely going to be in a position where I can run for EC and kind of let my expression run.
Yeah, that's certainly something that I've noticed about you, is that if you're going to take on a role, or if you're going to do a project, you're going to do it the right way. And that's something that I think all the brothers have noticed, because you're very adamant about, when, like Rainey said, that right versus wrong, right, when you're doing a project, and you know that certain ways aren't necessarily right. And I feel like you do a very good job of explaining that to brothers, because it's hard to convey that message to 50 different guys when everybody has a different opinion. And that just ties back into you doing it the right way and the best of your ability without taking on extra responsibility. Which leads me into my next question, because for me personally, I feel like time management is so important. And without time management and without doing time management correctly, things can kind of crumble. And clearly, from what we've heard so far, you're very busy. You have a lot of responsibility. Do you want to talk about, how you use your time management skills and how you effectively delegate things, or, get things done with those time management skills?
Yeah, so I'm very busy. Not only am I in the fraternity, I'm in a lot of the intramurals on campus. I also work part-time. I'm also working with my buddy Nate to start a club baseball team for the school. And yeah, so obviously with all this stuff on my plate, there's got to be a way that I can handle it all. One of the main things that is easily overlooked and people think it's stupid, just having a physical calendar and just having everything down is so important and so crucial. And everyone thinks it's kind of dumb, but it's literally like the best thing ever. And for me, what I like to do is, since I have the weekends, a lot of people was like, oh, you don't do work on the weekends. How do you get stuff done so quick? I make sure that everything I need to get done in a certain week is done Monday through Friday, no matter what, because I don't use the weekend to procrastinate and push my work off for the next week. I use the weekend to give my brain a mental break so that when the next week comes, I can hit it even harder than the next week. Because if you're procrastinating during the week, you use the weekend to just, I'll do work here and there, throw a little in. You're still working your brain and thinking too much. Then when you come to the next week, you don't want to do work again. But if you get it done, give yourself that break, then when the week comes again, you had your break, you're ready to run, and you can knock it out even harder.
Yeah, that's a great point. I just feel like most of the problem with the lack of time management is the procrastination, because then when you push everything off, everything gets jumbled together, and then you don't have enough time to complete certain tasks. So I definitely agree with that. But to kind of switch again, to bring up, I don't think we've ever talked about this on the show, so this will certainly be interesting. But you were one of the main, I don't even know how to explain this, but you were one of the main guys that was pushing the jerseys for our chapter. If you want to talk a little bit about that, I won't take offense to it if you want to throw some shade at me for pushing it off. But we did eventually get it done. I got it done over winter break. They look great. If you want to talk a little bit about the process of trying to push so hard for them.
So yeah, jerseys, I could speak for this for a while, but obviously I think every other fraternity on campus has jerseys. Yeah, we have our shirts, yeah, we have our letters, but I just feel like what I was talking about with Rainey earlier, I kind of like to bring my own style to the fraternity, and I thought jerseys was right up my alley for that. And I just thought having that would kind of add, I don't want to say swag, but like just that extra push, and kind of just give us some more style. And yeah, it was a headache trying to get everything together with funds and the way we were going to have them styled and kind of the look of them. But once we got them, I'm very happy with the way they came out. We've had a lot of colliding opinions about the looks that they were going to have, but I think they're great. Also being on the IM chair, it's going to be nice going forward. Everyone knows that the rec pennies smell like dirty socks after they've been sitting in a laundry bin for 10 days. So having to not wear them and just being able to have our own jerseys with our last names on the back is going to be a lot easier, and I think create some more aura for the frats. So.
Aura. Just to preface, it wasn't laziness that prevented us from getting these jerseys for so long.
It's a lot, and Luke does a great job with everything, but obviously there's going to be setbacks, but I think we handled them.
Yeah, it was just like, we have so many brothers, and to just out of nowhere buy 50 jerseys is not going to be cheap on the chapter. And it took me some time to figure out and crunch the numbers on how we would get the brothers to split the money with the chapter, what the split would be exactly, and just like try to convince them to chip in some money for their own jersey was definitely harder than I thought it would be, but we got it done. I think they look great, and I think I'm most excited to wear them for Greek Week. And that leads me into my next question. As somebody very involved in intramurals, what are you looking forward to about Greek Week? What did you do it last year?
Yeah,
you did. What do you like about Greek Week? What are you looking forward to, if you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so obviously the sports aspect of Greek Week is very attractive to me. I love sports. I can't get enough of them. But actually, surprising enough, my favorite part of Greek Week is lip sync. last year I had no idea because it was my first time ever doing it. I had no idea what it was. I had no idea what to expect. But going in there, I kind of got out of my comfort zone. I don't like being in front of large crowds, but I was like, whatever, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And like I said, I did it to my all, and I even had a solo for it, and I had a great time with it. It was really fun seeing all the other frats and sororities and everything out there, people embarrassing themselves. It was very good. But yeah, that's coming up in 2 weeks again, so I can't wait to be a part of that again and have fun with that.
Yeah, you mentioned lip sync, and that's something like I would never have envisioned myself getting up on stage in front of that many people and just being able to dance. And to preface, I cannot dance at all. I'm probably, besides Andrew, like the worst dancer in the fraternity. But when you get up there, I feel like you just black out. Like I didn't even notice the people in the crowd. I was just dancing, and like beforehand in the practices, I was awful. Like I couldn't remember any of the moves. And then when I get up there, I'm just doing them all like without even thinking about
Dancer's
it. So
high.
It's definitely something that I don't know. It's interesting, but I will say with Greek Week, my favorite part, and probably not even like playing in the sports. I just like to see us competing. Really, like us being able to get together and just not really think about all the stressful stuff within the fraternity for however long that can last, is definitely something that I cherish, and I'm looking forward to it again. Just being able to compete as a group of guys, a group of friends. So it's definitely something that I really look forward to every year. But we'll have one last question on this topic because I didn't get to ask about spike ball within Greek Week. If you want to touch on how that went last year and if you think you can run it back this year.
Yeah, so spike ball, God, I love that sport so much. So me and my buddy, Owen Maurer, we always loved to run spike ball. We were actually in all the tournaments from the day we got here. We always run duos, and we have a sub. We have Troy, one of the other brothers, as our sub, but we never throw him in because we actually want to win. It's one of those sports that it doesn't take a lot of energy, so you can enjoy it, but it's also very technical. You got to have sync. I believe me and Owen's chemistry is just out of this world, so I hope this year we could run it. We got pretty far last year, but then we got knocked out at the end.
You won, didn't you? Or did you get second?
Yeah. No, we got second.
I'm pretty sure you lost the championship.
Yeah, we got all the way to the end and then we lost, which
I thought you won.
Is kind of a repeated theme with us. So hopefully we can change that this year. Hopefully the weather's nice because it was nice last year and that definitely helped because playing in not ideal windy weather conditions is not going to be fun. But yeah, I can see us on top this year.
I didn't even realize this, and I don't know if you've listened to these episodes before, but Andrew has probably mentioned 3 or 4 times about the ring around Harley, outside of Harley, on the grass.
Yeah.
And you are probably the main culprit of that, so I'm glad we finally got you on the show. He literally talks about it, like, I think he's mentioned it 3 or 4 times on the show.
About that?
Drew. Yeah, he mentions the ring.
Yeah, why don't I just talk about that so anyone that's not, because if whoever's listening, if you have walked by Harley at all and you've seen a giant donut of dead grass in the Harley, next to the Harley arch, yes, that is our fault. I don't know if it was our freshman spring year, but we went out almost every day. It was a group of guys from my friends and the guys that lived down the hall from us. We would set up the spike ball net in the same exact spot, not move it at all, which is not smart, but we did it on purpose, and we literally created a perfect donut of dead grass with a little patch of green grass in the middle. And it's kind of like a landmark now for the Harley Arch, and yeah, that's our spike ball spot. We haven't played much this year because it's kind of a mud slick now. But yeah, that was our doing.
Yeah, I always, dude, I would literally see you guys out there playing for like 6 hours. It was insane. But we're gonna take a break. Drew's up here behind me playing with stuff, so I'm going to pass it off to him after the break. So thanks, Tijs, for talking to me, and then I'll see you at the end for any questions you have for me.
All right, so we're back. Tijs, as you said in the beginning of the show, this is definitely one that I've been really looking forward to. I know that you and I talked several times about it, but I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach than my colleagues. The question I always usually like to ask is, like, now that you're in the organization and you're coming up on a year with being in the organization, how would you describe your first year within the organization, and, what are your goals for, the next 2 years?
Yeah, so like I said to Rainey, I honestly, looking back at the first couple months that I was at the school and not in a fraternity, I honestly can't see where I would have been if I continued like that. Obviously, I wasn't rushing to get into a frat or get into anything. It kind of just happened, but I think that's why, since it was so spontaneous, is why it was so effective on me and why it was so substantial. I went through a breakup right freshman year, and I kind of just needed my buddies. I needed a family to go to, and Kappa was kind of there for me. And yeah, looking back on the year that I've been in, I kind of just kept soaring with it and just keep going in my own direction and trying to help the frat the way I can and giving my piece on it. And yeah, I really think it's been going good.
So obviously every semester we have a rush week, and there's numerous different events. We try to do different type of events, like, let's say we have a football event, and then we'll go to a card game event, because at the end of the day, not everyone is, necessarily into sports.
Mm-hmm.
So we like to really try to hit on different demographics. But what would you say was, like, your favorite event that you went through when you were, a potential new member?
There's so many. I have no clue. I mean, obviously any sport was fun. We played pickup football the one time.
Yeah.
I think that it wasn't fun because it was football. Because I like football, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite sport. But I think just the way our team kind of just hung out, and I just felt at home during that, was why it was so helpful for me. And also, I guess I could talk about the alumni.
Yeah.
As Drew knows, one of the main reasons why I rushed too was because of the connections that will come from the frat throughout and after when trying to get a job. And we did have an alumni kind of meeting and get together with a bunch of guys that came back that already are in careers and just had a lot of good advice to share. And I think that was kind of my tipping point that kind of got me in. Because I talked to, I can't even remember his name. Austin Rhodes. We had a really long conversation talking about future jobs and everything, and that kind of set me over the edge, because I was like, I'm already having fun with these guys. I feel at home. The only thing I'm kind of on the fence is paying for it and just not having any thing come from it besides the family. And just knowing that I'm going to have this group of guys that I can rely on all the time, give my piece on it, and then also down the line get some good connections to future jobs. I even talked to our alumni advisor, Don, and he connected me with someone that literally lives 15 minutes down the road back home near King of Prussia, which was very cool.
Well, I didn't know that. Yeah. I swear to God, Don loves to talk, and I'm sure you're listening, but, you know everyone, and, all you got to do is just have a conversation with Don, and by the end of it, you'll probably have a connection out of it. But, I was talking about, I do want to say something that I think is kind of funny, and I've told several people this, Brady Cree being one of them, being one of our new members, is it's always you, Rowan, Drew, it's these people on the fence that they're like, oh, I don't know, I'm not going to do it. But at the end of the day, you guys came to every single rush event.
Mm-hmm.
And I've talked about psychology behind it. Like, I think there was a little part of you that knew all along, but I think it was just like being scared to admit it.
Yeah.
But I do kind of want to ask, like, now that you're in a position of being a brother, you know, in your past of, you know, being someone that's on the fence, what would you say is like your best thing of advice towards someone who may be listening that, you know, maybe unsure about joining Greek life?
Yeah, so obviously, I'm not going to talk about what I talked about already with, like, just having that second family. A huge part of it, I don't know how many people have said this, I know Brady was really big on this, is just not having the time and not having, being able to manage everything in a day's time, because, yeah, we only have a day's time to complete what we need to do. And I really want to say to that is you can do whatever you want to do if you want it enough. And joining a frat is, it's going to take a lot of time. It's not like it's just something that you can join and just put on your resume and say, I was in this. Like, you got to put in what you want, and what you want, like Drew always says, you get in what you get out of it, what you put into it. And my message is to people that are on the fence is, if you want to join a frat and you want to do good in school, do it. That's all you got to do. Just do it. Like, put yourself in the library, get your work done, and create the time that you need to have fun and also get your stuff done. Because as much as it seems like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to manage it, I have proven it. I know Rainey, this kid does everything. He has dinner with the president, comes back, is at rush events. Like, it has been proven time after time that it is possible. And if you want it enough, it's so doable.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. And, I mean, I really like what you said is, like, you can do it if you want it enough. And, I really like that. And the one thing one thing that you do that really inspires me is, the amount of effort that you do put in. You came in and you were pretty honest. You were like, hey, I'm a mechanical engineer. Like, I'm taking some hard classes. But, dude, the amount of times that I'll just come home and you're just, like, randomly downstairs, like, laying on the ground, putting new lights up. I'm like, aren't you, like, supposed to be doing homework or something? Like, you make the time, and I really respect that. And,
Yeah, what Drew's trying to hint at is everyone makes mistakes, especially when there's stuff that happens in the house, and me being the chair that I'm supposed to be. I don't mind stepping in and helping out to try to fix stuff, because that's my job, not only because I have to, because I want to. And it's not only the people that live in our frat house's house, it's all of our houses. And I can't do my part to clean my dishes because I don't live there, but I can do my part to try to keep it clean, keep it new, and try to make it look better than it was the day before. So
I completely agree. So I do kind of want to shift gears. So you were talking about we've talked about your major, and going into your junior year, it's going to be difficult. But what classes are you taking right now? I know that you're taking some, like, programming class.
Oh, God. Yeah.
It was literally like a 100 class, and I looked at it, and I thought it was a different language.
Yeah, so I'm a mechanical engineer. There's so many types. There's civil, there's software, there's computer, there's probably 10 more that I don't want to read. But it's required that even if you're not a major in engineering that is connected to something that has to do with coding, you still have to have that background in it, because it just gives you that knowledge. So we took one our freshman year. I know all the engineers do. It's using MATLAB, which is kind of like an extinct program that is just used for teaching. But yeah, the one we're in now, programming for engineers, it is not fun at all. And it's kind of like you need to have some background. Luckily, my roommate, Rowan, he's also in the frat. He has a lot of expertise on this, one, because he is a computer engineer. But yeah, it's really nothing to just, like, hop in. And I probably sound, like, ridiculous right now because there's probably people listening that can code with their eyes closed. But for someone like me that's a visual learner and good with their hands, it's not something I like doing, but it's got to be done. But yeah, I'm taking that. I'm taking dynamics right now, which is sort of more up my alley. It's more forces and visualizing stuff, which I like. I'm also taking a lot of hydraulic classes within the next couple years, which I'm looking forward to because we'll actually shift into the engineering building to have the classes, which is the isolated building.
Have you had any classes there yet?
I've had one, and I've also I'm on the Baja team for school, which is we're in there once in a while working on the buggy, so that gives me some more hands-on stuff.
So how would you say, how many people are in the Baja Club? I mean, it's honestly not a club that you hear too much about, but I mean, I always see you guys like during the parades and stuff, like taking your buggy out. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I think there's about like 20. There might be more. Not everyone shows up. Me included. Haven't been showing up as much as I want to because of time. I was really engaged my first couple years. My cousin was actually the president of the club, which kind of really helped to get me in and get me comfortable with everything. And me and my buddy Cole, we kind of created the entire wiring harness for the buggy. But one thing people might not know is every year the buggy gets completely taken apart, stripped, and remade. Not just the essentials that go into the buggy, the whole entire metal frame gets re-welded and created from scratch because you're not allowed to have the same buggy every year. So it is literally from a speck of dust, entire dune buggy gets created every single year, no matter what. So it's kind of cool.
All right, Tijs. Well, we're going to take one last brief break, and then we're going to shift gears, and you're going to be the one asking us the questions. So putting you a little bit on the hot seat, but yeah, we're going to take a brief break.
Okay, back live here on Greek Speak. Again, we've had Tijs Black for the past 45 minutes, and it has been quite an interesting 45-minute conversation with you, Tijs. Thanks for being great with us so far. We're going to switch gears, and we're going to have you ask us some questions. So do you have anything that's on your mind, any burning thoughts for us? Now's the time to share.
I mean, I'm sure you get this a lot, Luke, but I figured I would do it now that you're kind of on the spot. Maybe I'll get a different answer out of you. So what do you think has been? I know exactly what my greatest reason for joining was, but I want to know why you joined, what you got out of it. And
yeah, I always talk about this. I mean, I've alluded to it many times, but the start of sophomore year was really, really bad for me. Things just did not go well, and I definitely was looking for that social support system. So kind of went about the opposite way that most people would, because you probably remember when I was a new member, there wasn't really much to me at the time. But definitely grew into the roles I had and grew into the environment I was in. And from there, I mean, it's been a complete game changer. So I kind of joined with the thought process of, yeah, maybe I'm not that close to people right now, or I'm not that great at the moment, but this place is hopefully going to build me up. And if it doesn't, I at least know that I've put every ounce in me to try and make it happen. So it's really served me, done wonders for me. So that's kind of why I joined, again, looking for that social support system.
Yeah, don't run away yet, Luke. I got one more for you. So if you guys don't know Luke, he's literally, I think, in my opinion, one of the most busiest and craziest guys that I know, that's constantly working, constantly trying to figure a way to
President of the United States.
Advance his future, if you want to say that, if you want to get, I don't know the word. But I wanted to ask, I know we recently had nominations like I was asked.
Yeah.
I know you accepted one, which is very crazy, but I know I've heard some stuff that you are very busy, so I just want to hear your thoughts on that.
So part of what my thought process was upon accepting the nomination, and it was, I knew that, if you say no to it, you say no forever. So I didn't really want to say no in the moment, but it's definitely something I've weighed a lot this week about going forward with that, just because, is that something I can afford on my schedule next semester or next year? And that's a really tough one to ponder. It's obviously an honor that people think that I'm capable of serving in executive leadership. Knowing that I'm already in executive leadership for a different organization right now, to be able to do it for two would be incredible. It'd be very much a challenge though, but like you kind of said, it's that time element, and it's the best way to give back is sometimes to say no, because it would be a disservice to everybody if I stuck with the path I was on and said, like, I can do this, but I really couldn't. And I ended up failing in my role. But knowing, like, what I do now, knowing that I can still do that because I've been doing it now, you know, I take solace in that as, like, that's my way of giving back to a place that's done so much for me. So, again, kind of going back to the beginning of that question was, you know, I accepted because it's hard to say no in the moment, and it's something that I have to weigh before, you know, the voting day comes to be, about whether or not you actually go forward with it. But yeah, I mean, it was an honor to be considered for it. I'm sure you'd feel the same way.
Yeah. I guess I got one for Luke too. So, I guess staying on the topic of nominations, as you guys probably know, Luke is our treasurer here at Kappa Sig. I wanted to ask, because we had nominations and Luke did get nominated to be treasurer again. And it was a quick no, definitely not. So I want to know why you were so quick to say no. I have a feeling I know what you're going to say, but I just want to hear it.
So, believe it or not, and if you ask Luke, Rainey this, or Drew this, they'll probably tell you that I'm lying, but this is the truth. It had nothing to do with the position itself. It had to do with my aspirations for other positions.
That's what I was going to say.
I was nominated for president. I accepted it. I planned to run for president. And honestly, my thought process in that moment was, if the chapter doesn't see me as fit for president, I can help out in other ways. I don't need to be on EC anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now I am very busy, and honestly, it's what fuels me to keep going with the chapter and everything, and to keep doing my obligation on IFC and on eBoard. So my thought process was, I'm going to deny this because I'm running for one, and if the chapter can't see that, or if they don't want me in that position, I'll help out as a chair position or something. But if I'm not wanted at president, then I want to let other younger guys step up in other positions, because it's just it's not going to be my time forever, you know. Mm-hmm. So if I'm not needed at president, I'll help out elsewhere, but I wasn't going to be in any other e-board position. I'm sure you have a question for Drew, so I'll let him answer.
Yeah, get in here, Drew. All right. So yeah, thinking about a question for Drew is it's kind of hard. But the one that keeps, I guess, not leaving my head is, Drew's always been, out of everyone, I don't want to say out of everyone, but it just pops out to me, is Drew's one of, like, the most empathetic guys, is the word I'm trying to find. He's just one of the guys, and yeah, he's on EC, so he has a higher say in the stuff, but he really takes the opinion and I don't know, opinion, and just he hears everyone's voice, no matter where they are in the frat, which is it's kind of very important to me. And I want to know where you get that from, because not everyone has that, and it's a very important skill and trait to have. So yeah, where did you get that from? And
that's a great question, Tijs. And I would definitely credit my parents. My parents are two incredible people who, you know, taught me to hear people out, no matter what, because at the end of the day, someone could have a really good idea, and if I'm not one of those people where I want to be stuck in one way and it's like blocking out different ideas, because at the end of the day, we can all put all of our ideas together, which could make a much better idea. I just wrote an entire essay on this yesterday, so it's kind of fitting that you asked that. But yeah, I just really like to hear out people, because at the end of the day, we are all just brothers, and you know, you're paying the same as I am, so I think you should have the same exact say as I do. Even though I am part of leadership, I still want to give people a voice, and I think that comes down to my position of VP of Membership Development. You know, my goal at the end of the day is to make sure everyone is getting in getting what they're putting in. If you're going to put in a lot, I want to make sure that you're getting rewarded. So, and it all comes down to, at the end of the day, I want to make sure that at the end, when you're graduating college, you're getting a job, because I want to make sure that I did my best to set you up for that, because I care about each and every other person, probably more about them than myself, honestly. But yeah, I give a lot of credit to my parents.
All right, that was some answer.
Some answer indeed. Well, I'll tell you what, Tijs. I mean, this has been a fantastic hour. It might have been a little bit too good if you ask me. But man, I mean, I can tell you, like, speaking for all three of us, I mean, we've loved talking to you, and like I've loved getting to know you. You're one of the most, I'd say, interesting characters I've probably met in my entire time at Ship. It always seems like for people they have strengths and weaknesses, but for you it's a lot of strengths working together at the same time, and you have a lot of different talents, and your ability to use them, and like we talked about at the top of the hour, your ability to apply them into all sorts of different contexts is second to none. So you are a very bright person. You got a lot of good things going for you, and seeing you grow and develop with us, and growing and developing with you, quite frankly. I mean, because we got in at the same time and came from two very different circumstances, and we're two very different people, but we've really had a lot of interactions together over the past year, and I've appreciated those. So just to thank you again for your time today on this show, and thank you to all of you for listening to Greek Speak on WSYC 88.7 FM from Shippensburg University. Until next week, we will see all of you later.